to you on our website. I'm also going to do something called spotlighting me, so it puts me at the forefront. Otherwise, if you're in gallery view, everybody's up there, but if I spotlight myself, um, then your students would stay focused on you if you're the one who's spotlighted. Okay, so let's jump into it. You're here for Google Sites. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. This is the presentation for today. Notice here I have a bit.ly. You don't need to worry about it because you're going to be looking at my screen, but this a bit.ly is a way that shortens your URLs. So it's a much more convenient way to share URLs with your students. So mine, and you can name it. So that's why they all start with bit.ly /. I named it RL, my initials, and the word site. So if people want to get back to this, it is relatively easy and quick. I'm also a math person, so notice I played some music. I put a little math puzzle for you to think about on here. If I were a real live meeting, I would let that be the warm up and talk about it afterwards. What I see this slide presentation, I'm only going to be in here for a very short time. Most of this is going to be active and showing you other things. And I see all the PDs that I'm creating, the slides for them are kind of like an instruction manual for you to refer to later. And so I'm not going to talk from the slides so much. I'm going to be kind of live in the product that I'm talking about. So a couple other business things before we jump in. If you've heard this spiel, if you've been to other PDs, but Tech Connect is a way for you to find other people on staff, either at your site or in the district, who are experts or have used different products that you may be exploring, so you can connect with them and ask them questions and team up with them in learning the product. In Their Shoes is on our page as well. It gives you some usernames that you can create student accounts so you can see what it looks like from a student perspective. So for example, if you're at Marin, the username is MAR student, Marin student. Password is Dolphins with a capital D, so you can create a student account to be in your Google Classroom. You don't need to frantically write these down. These are on our website for your perusal later. The way to reach me or Jen, rather than emailing, it helps us stay organized. If you click the help button on our front page, it sends you to a Google form, and you can either make a request. Let's say you have an app that you're stuck on or want us to explore, or you have questions, you fill out that form, or if you have hints for us, fill that out as well. And then finally, there's an elementary Slack channel that people are sharing ideas on. Okay, so why a class website? Last session was on Google Classroom, and Jen presented some ideas that, Google Classroom, she said, is a way of her handing out things to her class, whereas she sees the website more as her actual classroom. Here are some other purposes that you could use for a Google Classroom. You can make it your class headquarters. You can make it as a file cabinet for storing documents and PDFs. You could share video links, tutorials, other resources. You could post your lessons on there. You could supplement your learning on there, supplemental learning, enriching resources, post announcements, updates, and calendars. You could showcase student work on there. If you want to get elaborate, you can make web quests, digital escape rooms. You could flip your classroom, parent newsletter, enrichment resources. One big advantage of the website is that parents can access it, especially for lower grades where the kids need a little more help. A website serves that advantage. I'd like to, okay, so I'm going to deviate from here for now. So I just shared with you a bunch of potential purposes for the website. And as we're contemplating, do I build a site, do I not build a site? I'm going to show you some sample sites of teachers in this district, just to give you an idea of how you could make your own site. And people use it for different purposes. People update them at different frequencies. These are also showcased on our EdTech website, so you can browse them again later, but I'm just gonna jump into it. I'm putting some people on the spot because they didn't ask their permission, but we've already posted it anyway. So this is Miss Yuan's second grade site. If you haven't heard of Bitmojis, these are kind of cute little things where you can create an image of yourself with different outfits, different poses, and it's kind of a cute way to integrate yourself into your digital world. Notice on the side, she's got a menu with a few things like meeting the teacher, the VIP. But really the meat of hers is down here where there's a parent portal and a student portal. And then within the student portal, if I go there, she's got all these different arranged different subcategories that are arranged by subject. And so within there, she either has activities, other things that you can do, other things for students can do. So let's say you are using a Google Classroom in conjunction with this, you could tell them to go to the math section of the website and do this activity, right? Instead of housing all these activities in Google Classroom, they're all housed here nicely and conveniently. There's a banner. She already has back to school light posted on there. Ambitious. So that is one way to organize your portal, right? Directions, procedures, your Zoom links, people who finish early. I'm going to go to a different site now. Oh, and if you notice right here, she's embedded a few slideshows. So once you made a Google slide, rather than putting all the text onto a website, this one's for online Zoom expectations. She's got several slides. The parent or the student can just scroll through them and see what they all, it looks like she only has one slide, but if you have multiple slides here, they could scroll through the slideshow directly on your website. And that would be a regular reference that you can go back to. Whereas on the Google Stream, if you post it on there, they're gonna have to keep where are those directions again and scroll all the way up and down and search for it. So that's one advantage that a site has over the Google Classroom. I'm gonna go to a different classroom now. This is Ms. Barker's classroom, 17 online. If you notice, she has a menu bar up top with core lessons and assignments and extension activities. And those are the same ones that are down here. She also has her Room 17 newspaper, posting student work on there, her read alouds. So elementary teachers who are doing read alouds, I'm gonna click on this real quick. I've seen some teachers who are just doing an audio recording, and other teachers who are videotaping themselves doing the read aloud. And so this is a place where you can post it, and students can just hit the play button and hear the read aloud for the day. And so that's kind of a nice, tidy way to organize it. The kid misses it, they could go back and re-listen to any chapter. She has all her previous books on here too. I think that's a really convenient and nice place to store your read alouds. Let's see what else she has here. She's got PE stuff. So, Coach Joel has all his stuff. This is a link to maybe some of his activities at his sites. Your sites can branch off to other sites. She's got a special section for science. I believe there's people you should know about. And so that's another way of organizing it. This one's Room 20's Home Away from Home by Mrs. Person in 4th grade. The way this one, so if you notice up top, there's a bunch of menus, right? Her read aloud, and notice that the subcategories are the different books. Once you click on it, I suppose it would go to the books and all the different read alouds for that book. She has math games, fun extensions. But what I want to point out for her is that she uses it more as a daily check-in site. So here's Friday, June 12th, reading, math, writing. Here's Thursday, June 11th, reading, writing, math. So it's very consistent, right? Those icons that she's chosen symbolize a special thing. She got the cool patterns on this succulent, and that's her math one. She's got a book icon. And so each day they know exactly where to look to see what they're being asked to do. And so whereas you could post on Google Stream and it sticks on the stream, but she's choosing it to do it on this place and it's really easy. And well, again, I'm gonna try to not use the word easy, but it's not much harder than typing it into Google Stream to post all this on here. And so you could just have a week's worth, you could have a whole year's worth. That would get a little crazy for them to load the page. But that is another route to go, is use it as your daily announcement, let kids know, or it could be a weekly one as well. Like, let them know a certain time. I will have it posted by this time. And one thing about Google Sites is that let's say you do want to do it daily, um, and you have Tuesdays on there, and it's Tuesday evening. You're ready for the next. You're making the next day's changes. Those changes will not be reflected in you until you hit the publish button. So you can work on making all these changes and then actually hit the publish button in the morning if you don't want to see them till the morning. So if you want to say every morning by 9 o'clock, please check the web page, you could just make all those changes, update it for Wednesday on Tuesday night, and then on Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning, as soon as you are ready, you hit the publish button, and then it makes it live for them. Looks like she has so this is just a video that she has housed on there that you can play directly from the screen.
Hi, fourth grade. As you can see, I'm in class, and
so with screen, so this is something that she either did on Screencastify or Loom, and you might want to use this, post that with directions, do a screencast, give your students a screencast tour of your website. Tell them all the different parts, what they do, where they access what, and then have that right on the front of the page so that they're like, oh, what's this again? And the parents and can watch it with them and get all those directions. I'm encouraging as many screencasts to avoid emails from parents. How do I do this again, students? How do I do this again? Where do I look for this? I think a video tour by you is going to be really helpful and nice for them. I'm going to lastly go to my own website that I used this year, me and Miss Fisher. On here, my front page, I had a little countdown, though I use classic sites and I got to convert mine over. So for those of you who made websites in the past under classic sites, those are being phased out. I believe that they keep on pushing the date back, but they want to roll out the new Google Sites, which is a much easier platform to use. And so they're going to be converting all the old sites to new sites. And I tried a conversion of my site just for a test, and it turned out horrible because all the features are different. Everything looked really messed up. And so I need to convert mine. So if you have created yours with new sites, you're no problem. But if you made it with the old site, just be aware that's going to be converted at some point. I don't say near future because I don't know how near it is. But so mine's going to look a little different than what yours would look like if you created it. But I had a countdown to the next test on there so they could be aware. I had a link to our textbook. They click on it, goes to the link. Our calendar, this one has I just inserted a Google Calendar. It's our calendar for the entire year with dates for the lessons and tests and whatnot. I have a place for if you're new to Albany Middle School, this is how you set up your email, how you get into Google Classroom, how you register for the ebook. Here I had actually all the answer keys. And so if let's say you teach math and you've already made a whole bunch of answer keys okay, let's say you've done it on paper. What I did was I did them all on paper. I did every single assignment. I went to my copier at school. I scanned them all. I stuck them in a pile, sent them up, made them into a PDF. And then I put it on my Google Drive, and then I am sharing those with the kids. And so these icons represent the different, so I want to be cute about this. All these icons represent the different chapters. If you click on it, it will take you to a folder that has all the answer keys for all the chapter 1 lessons. This PDF, they just click it, it opens up, and they'll see my actual answer key. I'll let that show up in a second. And so they can access my answer key directly right there. And so I just have an icon for each chapter. I made it so that, let me go back to it and I'll show you. That's chapter 1. Whoops. Chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, etc. And so and then I just have some other supplemental materials, sample tests. I have a motivational Monday section, other things that you can do. So those are some sample websites to get you going in your head, thinking about what you could do with your website, because you can start building, but to have an idea, a vision is helpful. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into the nitty gritty of how exactly you create a website. And I'm going to actually just make a mock one right now so you can see all the different features that are available to you. So you're going to start off by going to the little waffle. And as you scroll down, you go to the one that says Sites. And it will take you to the Google Sites menu. This is classic sites. So I want to go to new sites right here. And it shows you all the sites that I am a part of, that I've created. You want to create a new site. So again, you don't need to memorize all this. I'm going to just walk you through it. The directions are on my my slideshow later. And I'm actually, hopefully we'll have time that I can give you time to actually try building one today. But I'm going to click this plus sign, and it's going to create a website for me. And I encourage you to make a test one just to play around with. And so I'm going to make a test one right now just for fun. So it's going to load up. This is a template that you'll see. I'm going to name mine English 387. I'm going to name the site as well, English 387. And notice over here, there's three kind of tabs. There's an insert tab that lets you insert all these things. Text boxes, images, embed, drive, yada, yada, yada. We'll talk about that in a second. There's pages, and this is where you're going to create other pages and sub pages and sub pages, and you're able to duplicate pages. And over here, it's a theme, that color theme. And there aren't very many themes, so it's not that great, but I'm gonna leave that at that. So I'm just gonna start adding some things. So let's say I wanted to, so I'm gonna go back to the insert portion. I wanted to add a YouTube video, and I wanna find a video about exclamation points. I'm gonna do my search right there. And it pops up all these. Oh, cool, there's an exclamation point song. I'm gonna select that, and boom, it's sitting right there. Now, let's say everything is customizable in size. So let's say I want this to be a little smaller, I can always tweak it. You could also adjust how narrow or wide it is, but note that if you make it too narrow, you start cutting off. And so you ideally wanna keep the proportion. And this is something that will play right in screen, and they could also enlarge it so they can see it on the whole screen. Okay, let's see, what else can we add? Let's add some text. So I just clicked the text button. Alternatively, instead of clicking the text button, if you double click, it'll bring up this little round wheel, and I could just press the T in the middle for text. If you want to do an images here, here is uploading something. Here's inserting something from your Google Drive, which is very handy. Here's embedding something. I'm going to enter text now and say, let's say you wanted to use this as your daily thing, right? Here's my agenda for today. Let's say, and notice it has this array of menus, right? Let's say I want to make a bulleted list after this. Boom. I'm going to say brush teeth. Eat, whoops. I bought a keyboard that's too small, and so it's messing up my typing. At least that's my reason. Go to PD, sleep, and repeat. Okay. Oh, one thing about when you type text is they don't allow you to change fonts. And so you can only choose these possible settings. So if I want to change this, the only thing I can change is I can change it from these options: normal text, title, subheading, and small. So if I want to change this to a title, it gets big. I can also bold or italicize it, but let me just show you all the different options. That's title, that's heading, that is subheading, and that's for magnifying glass, people. Yeah, so if you want to make that a little bigger there, over here to the left, I can select a background color, and I can just click on that. I can also put an image behind it, but the background colors are limited to what the theme allows. I could also duplicate this. Ooh, dandy. So let's say the person you saw earlier who made multiple ones, let's say you want to post your agenda for each day. I can just, boom, hit duplicate here, and just type in the new ones for the next day, right? Let's say that I'm like, this box is too big. I want to squeeze it till it's smaller. It's fully adjustable. Let's say I don't want this anymore. I can just hit this delete button. It'll delete the whole thing. Okay. Let's see what else I can add here. I'm going to go to, let's go to collapsible text. And you might be wondering, what is collapsible text? And then I'm going to go down here. If the text is collapsible, why do I want it? It's structurally unsound. Okay, one important thing to do, notice up here, there is a preview button. And that is important to hit because that's going to show you how it looks. So watch this now. I'm going to click the preview button and I'm going to see the live view of this. I can scroll. And this little menu allows you to, right now I'm looking at it on like computer form. This is what it will look like in tablet form. And this is what it will look like on a phone. And so that's one of the main reasons I think Google did this, so that people who are viewing from different platforms can have a good view of it. But if I go now to my collapsible text, I can see that there's this, let's see, sorry, down here, the little arrow here opens and closes my text. So it just would show the title, and if I click it, it would close up again. That's what collapsible text is. So I'm gonna hit this X and get back out of preview mode. Let's see what else I can add. Image carousel. So any pictures that are on your Google Drive or on your computer, you can add. So I'm gonna go ahead and select some images from my Google Drive. So it takes you to this menu. I'm already default to Google Drive. There's the recent ones. I'm gonna click on my drive. And there's my foldering system. I'm gonna go to where I know there are some photos in my English folder. And I'm just gonna select all the photos here by pressing Command A. I'm gonna insert them all. And look at the gear here. Anytime there's a gear, there's some options for you. I can show dots, and those dots are basically those, if you look at this photo slideshow, those dots that scroll from photo to photo. It's whether you want to show those dots or not, whether you want to show captions or not, whether you want it to auto start upon them opening your web page. I'm going to auto start it. Oh, now I have an option, transition speed. I'm going to leave it at medium. I think I'm a medium kind of person. I'm going to insert it. And it's not doing anything now, but actually I think it's important to tell people what this is about. So I'm going to put my arrow right below there, and I'm gonna hit a double click, and I'm gonna add a text box. I'm gonna say famous grammaticists. And now let's go ahead and preview and see what this looks like. And so now it's the menu that's going to be scrolling through all the pictures I've thrown in there. So that's to be good for back to school night, or kids have submitted a picture of them and their pets. This is something that you can so easily change at any time. And so that is something that's really easy and fun to do for your class. Maybe start off the year with pictures of you. Let's say you want to insert a Google slideshow. I click on Google Slides on here on the right. And I'm going to, let's say, insert the slideshow that for today's Google Slide presentation. So I would double click on that, and it's put my slideshow in here. And if I, again, put on preview mode, it's going to allow me to scroll from slide to slide within the slideshow right on the website. So your entire lesson could be on there, on the web page for them to view. Let's see, calendar. You can insert a calendar. Let's say you made a calendar of all whatever. I'm going to insert a AMS counseling room calendar on here. So if people have grammar problems and need to talk to a counselor, they can see that. I can, with my gears, I can change it to be the agenda view, the month view. I'm going to change to the month view. It's more practical to see it like that. And so now they're going to see the month view of this. But you know what? I really don't like the formatting of things now. I want things to be kind of next to each other. I can just click and drag this whole thing up here. Let's say I want to fit something else on here. When you click on an element, it pops up these dots. You can drag any of those dots to change its size. So I can drag this one to make it shorter, smaller. I generally like to maintain the proportions, but boom, I moved it. And again, if you want to add a little text below it to explain what it is, I can double click here, or you could use the insert on the right. I'm going to click text. I'm going to type counseling calendar. Okay. Now, you could also add they have these little templates to make your life a little easier. So I'm going to call them layouts. You can add a layout to it where it's not pre-populated, but you can add things. So I'm going to show, if I add this template, it gives me 4 spots for pictures or an icon or a text. And so generally what I like to do is I'll add an image that I found somewhere. And actually you can just copy and paste. You don't need to use this insert button. If I've already have an image from somewhere else that I've copied, or if you screenshot something, let's say I just went to a random other screen, I press screenshot, and I just go back to that page, I can press Command V, but notice it put it down here, not where I wanted it to. All I have to do is drag it and stick it in here, and boom, it's there now. And I like to have icons that represent where I want it to. And so let's say I want to make this into a link. I want this to go to this page. So I've made this, there's this cool game called Is This Prime? And I want kids to play that game. And so I can hit, actually, so I'm going to go back to the page. I'm going to highlight the URL. Control C or Command C. And then go back to here. I click the link button and Command V. I didn't copy it very well. Let me try that again, sorry. Okay, here we go. I'm going to insert it as a link, boom, and apply. Whoops, let's just pretend I did it right. If a student clicks on this now, it'll take them to that web page. Oh boy. And so you can make a picture into a link, you can make text into a link, you can essentially make anything into, well, picture and text are the main things. Let me reload here. You can move entire bars around. So if I clicked on this, this is the live section. If I want to move this to the top, over here, there's these little dots here. I grab that, I can just slide it up anywhere I want. Let's say I don't like this one, I click on it, I hit delete, it's gone. Let's say I added some text right here, blah, blah, blah. I make that slightly bigger as a subheading, but I decide, hey, I want something underneath that too. I want more text. I can click another text box and type some more directions under here under a different font. These are super customizable. Now, this is the main page. You can then, if you click on pages, that's how you create more pages. And so this little plus button on here says I can create a new page. So I'm going to go boom. I'm going to name the page as English. Oh no, let's call it Read Alouds. Done. And so now it's created a read aloud page. Now, I'm not actually doing it, but let's say you did a read aloud page and you had 5 different books. Or actually, you start off the year, you have your first book. So let's say you're reading The Cat in the Hat and you put a picture of Cat in the Hat here, a link to it, and then what you could do is create a sub page. So all I'm doing is I'm going back to this page setting, these 3 dots. Give me these options: duplicate page, properties, add sub page. I'm going to add a sub page, and why I would do that is I don't want all my Cat in the Hat read alouds to be on the same page. I'm going to have my main Cat in the Hat read aloud to be on this page. All my read aloud is like the launching point for my read alouds. I would have all the book icons here, and then it would take them to this Cat in the Hat page. I would put all my Cat in the Hat videos on here. Now, One cool thing is, let's say you formatted nicely and you're like, you know what, for my next book, I just want it the same format. I don't have to recreate the whole page again. You hit those three dots, it'll duplicate the page. You can rename it. This will be Dog in the Hat. That's my next book. And so let me just make one thing here. So now I've created another page. What we can do on the Read Aloud pages, let me go ahead and put a image here. So if you don't have the image, you can, again, cut and paste from a website. You could do a Google search for the image. I'm going to type cat in the hat. And I can just choose one of the pictures. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this as to the link that leads to the sub page. So this little paper clip, I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click on cat in the hat. So when you make a link, you can do two things. You can type in the URL for the link for where you want it to go, or you can just direct it to one of the pages that are part of your site. And so these are the two pages I've created, cat in the hat and dog in the hat. I want to go to cat in the hat. And so now when a student clicks on this, it will take them to my next sub page. Okay. I've said a lot, I've done a lot, I've shown a lot. I'm going to go back to my slideshow to kind of whip through the rest of it, and then I'm going to give you some time. And so again, I see this as an instruction manual, and also I'll have time for Q&A. Step one, you're going to go to your Waffle Plus. It'll take you to creating a site. You're going to give it a title. I'm going to go through this quickly, but you don't need to write anything down. You can refer to this later. Site title, page title. There's three buttons: the insert button, the page button where you create more pages, and the themes. So many things you can, I didn't even touch upon all of them, but there's so many things that you can try inserting, and I would encourage you just try them all. Make a test page and try every single one to see what it does. If you're unsure what it does, like I was unsure what placeholder did, I just Googled what is placeholder in Google Sites, and it tells me. This snowman on the page site will make, you can change another page to your home page. You could duplicate page, make sub pages. You can drag a page to different, so we've made a big menu of pages. I can drag it to another location to be a sub page for a different page. Everything is, anything you do is undoable. You can fix it. The toolbar, oh, I didn't show you these, but basically an undo, redo, preview. This gives you a copy of the URL. Adding site collaborators or sharing your site, settings. This settings allows you to put a toolbar on the side or on the top. Publish is the magic button that makes it go live. Until you hit publish, nobody can see it. And so if I publish it now, it would be as is. If I make more changes, it will not show until I hit publish again. Privacy settings are rather important. The question is, who do you want to be able to see the site? And if you click the share button, it's going to bring up to you these options. And you want to think about which groups do you want to see. And basically there's three main categories. Restricted means that you allow specific people, and you would have to put their email addresses in. I suppose if you only wanted your group of students to see it, you could just pull up their emails from Aries and paste that all in. Or you could also paste their parents in as well. You can make it available only to AUSD domain folks, which means that they would need to be logged into their AUSD account to access it, or make it publicly available. So think long and hard before you decide on this and make a kind of informed decision. Tips for building a great Google site. I'm kind of just going to read through this, but keep your site simple and intuitive and easy to navigate. Part of that comes with you giving your students a tour so that they know where to look for things. When first building a site, try every single button in the insert menu. Yes, every single button, so you know what's available to you. If you can, try sketching out a potential site map in advance so you kind of know where you're headed. You can always feel free to change it, but it's always good to have a vision. And coming up with that vision may entail going to other people's websites and seeing what you like and copying that model. Don't reinvent the wheel. Use templates and look at models. I'm going to keep encouraging for that. It's like there are a lot of models out there. I already mentioned you can't change the text font or size, only the text style. I generally like to use icons and images as links. That's up to you. Consistency across similar pages is helpful to the reader. So for example, we, on our EdTech website, we try to format it all the same so you know where to look for samples, you know where to look for the tutorials, you know where to find things. I want it to be intuitive. When building a site, regularly use your preview function so you see how other people will see it. Resize and relocate ruthlessly until you are satisfied. Things can be changed and modified to your liking. Update, add, and edit site as often as you like. Some teachers use the homepage for daily announcements. It could be a thing where you add once every 3 weeks, once every month. Some people will update it as their daily announcements and have it changed every day. That is completely up to you. You can have a navigation bar either at the top or the side. You can house files for student access by linking it to your Google Drive folder. Just make sure that Google Drive folder settings is set appropriately. So let me caution you on that. Anytime you share Google Slides, a Google Doc, anything from a folder, you need to make sure they have permission to access it, or else even if you put it on there, they won't be able to see it if the permissions are not set for them to be able to see it, either public or for AUSD domain. Aim for cool and sleek, but beware of cluttered and overwhelming. Beware of text-heavy pages unless it's for instruction or reading. If unsatisfied with a specific page, don't be afraid to delete it and start over. Use your duplicate page function to save time when applicable. Collaborate with another teacher or with other students. And I mentioned earlier, give students a tour of the site, preferably with a screencast. And then here's my last page, EdTech tips to live by. Number 1, be brave with your buttons. The more you experiment, the more awesome your creation is going to be. So try stuff. Make a test version to play with. That might evolve into your real version. It might just be your play version. Don't just wish for things, Google it, and you may very well figure out how to do it. There's been so many times where like, oh, I'm so frustrated, I can't do this, and I just like accept that I can't. And then somehow later on, I'm like, whoa, somebody's made a video on how to do this, and I can actually do it. And so that initial instinct of like panic or asking somebody, sometimes things are so Googleable. And I actually recommend not Googling on Google, but actually get on YouTube and Google how to, and be more specific you are with your question, the more likely you're going to find the exact answer you want. Don't keep reinventing the wheel. Templates are your friends, your own or ones that you find. In fact, I believe there's a function where you could duplicate a website. So if your second grade companion has a website that you really love and is willing to share with you, you can duplicate it, make you the owner, and you tweak the entire thing to fit your needs, but you at least start with their template. And as my grandmother always said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single click of the mouse. Don't be afraid to get started. Sometimes that first click, that is the biggest hurdle for people to kind of get started, especially when there's a state where we feel overwhelmed. Getting started will kind of get you going. Here, and we're gonna go to Q&A in just a second. If you wanna write these things down, this to the left is this presentation that you just saw, bit.ly/RL site. And I don't actually think that's case sensitive. I tried it the other day. They're not case sensitive. I will affirm that. But I always like caps because it's a little easier to read, I think. So this is for this presentation that you're looking at to the left. To the right, or the middle, is the AUSD EdTech website. I encourage you to browse there. All the presentations that we've talked about. In fact, I want to mention that yesterday we had some problems with the Screencastify, and some people had problems installing Screencastify. And I have put up a video tutorial on how to install Screencastify. Some people ran into an issue after they installed it where it said failure to record or failed to record when you try to record your entire screen. I've also found the workaround for that as well, or the solution to that. So please visit that page. But this page will meet a lot of your needs. We're putting all the apps that we're PDing you on, as well as other apps on here. If you're not sure whether we have it on there, just at the top part, there's a little magnifying glass. It's a search box. Click that and search what you're looking for on our website to see if we already have resources for it. My voice is not ready for this massive talking. So I lost my voice yesterday afterwards, actually, after the session. Jen, you're unmuted, and we're ready for some Q&A.
Okay, so the first one is, these two kind of go together, but why have a site rather than just use Clever? Um, and then I kind of lump that together with why have Classroom, Google Classroom and a site. And again, I'll just give like a tiny bit my little spiel on that. And I said this earlier when I was doing the presentation on Classroom. And I also think this, it's very different. I'm coming from an elementary perspective, and I just will call that what it is like right now. So I totally understand for secondary students, if they had 6 teachers that all had their own Google Classroom and Google Site, I can see that being super overwhelming and a lot of places for kids to go. So in terms of elementary, I think that I imagine my Google Site as being actually my physical classroom space. It's the place I create community. It's the place that I make warm and fuzzy and cozy for my students. I post photos, I post fun videos. It's a place that they go to first each morning. And then Google Classroom is actually the place where I just hand out materials. I assign their work, and I make it really clear from the very beginning what the difference is and why they go to each. So that is that for me. So for Clever as well, Clever is like, a place with bookmarks. And while you can customize it with what you want to put in there, you can't really do much beyond that. So, so your site is a place that you can really personalize and make homey. Some secondary teachers definitely might want to create a site. If that's feeling like it would be overwhelming for you or for your students, another idea that some people have talked about is having a department site. Having a 6th grade site with one little page for each teacher, or having a history department site or something like that. That's another way to go. Rich and I are collaborating on the EdTech site, so you can definitely add more than one collaborator so that multiple people are working on the site. So that's kind of the difference between, from my perspective, how classroom and sites are different. And then somebody asked about how they integrate. And I think that kind of addresses that as well. Although you can post links to your Google Classroom assignments on your site. So if you wanted your kids to be able to click to a particular assignment on your Google Classroom, you could embed that link on your website and take them directly there. So that's just, I'm sorry, Rich, I gave your voice a little break and I just kind of answered that question myself. But so that's kind of my spiel on sites versus Clever or sites versus Classroom. And again, we can talk more about that. If you want to engage more, please feel free to reach out. If you're really still struggling on which platform to use or wanting to talk through it, I'm happy to kind of brainstorm with you on how that might look. Someone asked if Seesaw has some of these features that you might put on a site, like parent communication and things like that. I might ask somebody in the chat to kind of chime in if you've had experience on Seesaw. I'm very brand new to Seesaw, and so I don't feel I'm ready yet to kind of comment on what it has and its features. I'm guessing I'm gonna kind of think the same thing, that Seesaw would be what I said about Classroom. It's kind of where you hand out your assignments and your activities, whereas your site might be, again, where you put your read alouds and all that kind of stuff. So again, that's the Seesaw answer there. Somebody asked, can you link to an assignment on Google Classroom? I think I already just answered that. Yes, you can. And then
well, let me follow up on that. So I saw another question regarding that. If you put a link on a Google Classroom, that doesn't mean everybody can go to it, right? If you click that Google Classroom link and you're a parent, you're not logged in, you still won't get access to it. So it's still protected. The documents you have are, or especially Google Classroom, is always protected. And if you have a link to it, you have to be logged in to access it.
And then the other thing that I had last year was that I couldn't link to an assignment until the assignment was actually posted. So if I created an assignment and it was like scheduled to post, I couldn't access a link to it until it actually posted, and that was kind of a pain in the butt last year. Because then I'd have to run in and like insert the links on my site once the assignment posted. So anyway, that's just a little thing. People were asking about adding pages, but that was right before you did your whole section on pages. So I think we covered that, but pages can be manipulated and embedded and organized in any way that you want to, and kind of reorganized and dragged around in any order. There's questions about Bitmojis and how to, do all the fun things we've been doing with Bitmojis. And I kind of feel like
we'll put something on our website about making the video on making Bitmoji classrooms, and that'll address that, because I think that a lot of people, and you can Google it. There's so many teachers who have said, here's my step-by-step tutorial on how to make a Bitmoji classroom and how I use it. And I plan to post my template on there so people can borrow it and see it. And so,
yeah, I mean, the quick answer is that you have to have a Bitmoji account through your phone first, set up your avatar, and then you add a Google extension, the Bitmoji Google extension that you get at the Google Web Store. It's free. I mean, it's just you're adding it to your Google. And then you'll have a little icon in your toolbar when you've added that extension. And then you can open Bitmoji from within your computer, and you can drag your Bitmojis right into your presentations. If you have a slideshow open or a doc open, you can drag your Bitmoji right in there. So, but we'll definitely do more, and maybe even on Wednesdays moving forward, when we can all breathe a little bit, we can do some more fun PD for some of this, like, it feels a little extra at this time, but we can definitely add that in. Someone asked about editing images. They were saying that when they added an image, they were having a hard time. Sometimes part of the image was getting cut off. So if you wanted an image to be a link to something else and you were editing that image, part of the image was getting cut off. Do you have thoughts about that?
Let me go ahead and let's see if I have a slideshow open. Give me 1 second. Why don't you go to the next question? I'm gonna pull up something.
Okay. The next question was how to adjust the starting image of a video. So if you're embedding a video from YouTube, the video's there, but not necessarily, the image that you'd want it to be. And then someone in the chat said that you can do a thumbnail from within YouTube. So that looks like there's a way to do that from within YouTube before you copy over the link to pick what your thumbnail would be. I have to say I haven't tried that, so it's definitely something to try out. And then just our last question before you go back to the images thing is around doc settings. And people were asking if you were putting a document on your website. Yes, you definitely have to make sure the privacy settings or the sharing settings are how you want them to be before you put it on your site. It's not going to change the setting just because you posted it to a public site and automatically give access to the people that have access to the website. That's specific to the document or presentation or whatever it is itself. And so you want to make sure you change those settings so that people can view it. And then someone asked if you can choose a Google group to share settings with on a document. And I've actually never tried that. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure you can, because a Google group is basically a big address for all the people in that group. So if you enter the group, you should be able to share with all those people.
And that could be really helpful, especially hearing what you said earlier during the Google Classroom one, that the district has now set up all of our classes as a Google group so that you could, communicate with your group within one address. So that might be really helpful with a document. And then I see a good site to find banner and background images. One that I really like is Canva. They have a ton of resources, and if you go on there, I think some stuff on there is paid, but I think they have a lot of free stuff, and you can search on there for background images. Yeah.
Okay. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I believe the question was in reference to this picture that didn't show all the way when I pasted it. I had screenshotted it, and it's only showing part of it. And so it basically all depends on the shape of the image that you either screenshot or cut and pasted. This one was a rectangle, so I cut off. So if I drag it out, it'll show more and more of it. So if you don't want to compromise the integrity of showing the entire thing, you just have to be careful that when you resize it, you maintain its proportion. And that would be done by pulling this thing along. I'm going to show you a little trick that I learned recently also, is if you're working within slides and you have an image that's too big for you. Let's say I want to cut off the directions on this image right here, right? If you double click, so this is just an image that I cut and paste in here, right, that I can drag around, resize and whatnot. But let's say I want to just cut off the directions on top. If you double click this, these black bars will surround your image. And watch this. I drag this down. That's gonna be grayed out. As soon as I click out of that, it's gone. And so basically it allows you, any image that you copy from somewhere, it allows you to crop it. And I think I've found that to be a helpful tool to mess with images. I also noticed there's a question on, actually we keep sharing, from Mr. Place about putting a quiz on your website. And unfortunately, I forgot to show that I did it. You can actually, let's say you made a quiz on Google Forms. If you scroll down here, or a quiz, doesn't have to be a quiz, it could be a survey, anything where you're asking questions. A minor plug, I'm running a Google Forms workshop tomorrow at 10:30. But look here, it says Google Forms. And I actually put a Google form in here, but let me show you how I could do it. Let's say I want to insert a form. No, actually, I'm going to have to take some time to find it, but, oh, actually, I know exactly where it is. I'm going to hit Forms. And I'm going to go to, wait for it to load. Basically, I would find a form that I've made. Here we go. Here's a sample quiz. I'm going to stick that in. So there's my Google form. And they would need to, they could fill it out, populate it, answer all your questions on your quiz, submit it, and then it would go to your Google Sheet. And so you record the grade and all that stuff. So this could be one place that you access it. If you don't want it here, you could always put it as a link on there for them to follow, but they can actually take the quiz on here. I believe I could just, if I preview it, I think they can take the quiz on there. So it's about a matter of inserting a form.
Yeah, I mean, you could also, you know, if you're using Google Classroom, you could roll that form out as a quiz on Google Classroom as well. So it just depends where you want to put it. I put forms on my website all the time. We did like a little would you rather. There were just some fun forms that I included just directly on my website. If they were curriculum based, I usually put them on my Classroom, but that was just totally personal preference, like what you want to do.
I'm going to suggest another quick website that so I've been going to a bunch of like online PDs, and they oftentimes give little cool hints that I want to share. So I'm going to share one more before we go to our next question. There's a website called Text Giraffe that will make you take whatever text you want, math website, and basically make a big title with it with a bunch of cool different fonts. And so now I can scroll down here. They've made all these. So you're not downloading the font. You're just downloading this banner. So I can scroll through there and have all these different. So if I were to make a banner or title that says math website, I can just go text giraffe, as in the animal with the very long neck, and type it in whatever text I want. It will generate all these cool banners. And you could use that as a title for your web page or a title for a section. It just basically has really cool designs on different banners that you could make.
And just following up with that, Rich, just another plug. I mean, in terms of ed tech, there are so many amazing resources out there. If you are a social media user, if you are on Twitter, I mean, tons of people doing amazing stuff are on Twitter. And as much as I hate social media these days, I've kind of narrowed all of it down to just technology and anti-racism. Those are like the two things I'll still follow. Everything else I'm like, bye. But there's really amazing resources. YouTube, if you Google anything, like Sarah had asked about interactive journals, how can you post a new prompt and roll it out to students? And I just Googled it this morning and I found this amazing video of this teacher who kind of has a little, it's not even a hack, it's just a tip about using Google Slides in a way that will allow you to add a new slide, and it will roll out to the slides you've already assigned to your students. And so, and I'll share that tomorrow at the Slides PD because it's amazing. And if you want to do any sort of journaling, a math notebook, anything like that, it's a great tip to know. But that's just to say that while we're here as resources for you, there is so much out there and just doing a search for what it is you want. Like Rich said yesterday, don't just settle, see if it's out there, because there's a very good chance that it is, and that there's tons of great resources.
While you look up the next question, let me say this. Jen's been embedded in the ed tech world for a number of years and done trainings and seminars. I will say about 60% of what I'm teaching you, I learned in the last month. and probably half of that I learned in the last week, because I'm just furiously trying and researching and looking up videos. And so it is definitely learnable. It's not like second nature for me, but I'm just looking it all up, and it's the resources are definitely out there.
So I don't know, Rich, do you want to give people, I guess we have about 15 minutes, is that right?
So what I was going to do is give you time to try making a site. I would like to put you in a breakout room so you can kind of do it with each other and ask each other questions. And so I'm going to just share screen again to show you how to get to the initial starting point. And then I'm going to put you in breakout rooms, and maybe one person in the breakout room could share your screen with everybody else. And you guys could all like minimize the browser and then open your screen to make a website. So from your email page, you're going to click on the waffle, find where sites is. And by the way, these icons in the waffle are rearrangeable. So I can pick it up and rearrange it. So I put the ones that I use most often at the top. So my sites is right here. I'm gonna click on this. Somebody asked a question about, is my site a new site or a classic site? The initial page that it takes you to are all the classic sites. So these are all the classic sites that I'm involved with. So don't create from this screen. So let me give you a big warning. Don't create from this screen and also make a classic site. You do not want to do that. Right here where it says new Google Sites is where you want to hit. That's the one thing I didn't put in my presentation that I should have. So don't start from this page. It should look prettier, the page that you start from. I'll show you. This is the page that starts from. So this is the English 387 I just made. Here are different templates that Google's offering. A template for student portfolio, clubs, classes. Right now, you're going to start from scratch and hit the plus button, and then you're off and running. You're off and running from there. Okay, so the reason I'm going to put you in breakout rooms is that I want you to be able to, if you get stuck on the second step, you're all doing it at the same time. You can help each other out. Okay, so what I encourage you now to do is just to start a site, mess around with it, play with it, add different things in, add pictures, add websites, add banners, type in some text, whatever the case may be. You can just minimize this Zoom screen. Don't close it, minimize it so you can still hear each other and talk through it with each other. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set.
And Rich, just while you're doing that, I'll just add the one other thing I really love about sites is that it's very similar to a document. It picks up your changes as you're going. It automatically saves any changes, but like Rich said earlier, it won't roll out those changes until you click that publish button. So your students or your viewers will always be seeing your last published version from your link until you click that publish button. So I can make millions of changes throughout the week and then click publish on Friday, and those changes will roll out, or however you want to do it. So that's another really helpful thing.
Okay. Before I send you and we'll close after this, but before I send you into the room, there's a question about Screencastify. We met with Maria yesterday, and they are upgrading our accounts to the upgraded account where you can do longer than 5 minutes, but that's not gonna, Jen, she said this week, hopefully, like it's on it. They're in conversation with Screencastify. It's a matter of getting it rolling, and they're very busy. So both Zoom and Screencastify, I would say, should be upgraded to the higher level accounts within the next week, I would say. I will do my best to let you know when that happens, okay? I'm gonna send you into breakout rooms, and you can call for us if you need, and Jen or I will come and visit, but just go and give it a try, okay?